Good evening and welcome to Business Live. Coming up, COCOBOD clashes with MIGOP mining over attempts to mine over 4,300 hectares of rehabilitated cocoa farms at Nkarie.
After measuring the farm, they pegged the price at 10,000 cedis per acre. They told us the land has been given to them by government, so if we do not take the money, they will forcefully mine the area.
Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana proposes 10% increase of transport fares as unionized transport operators fail to secure government's approval to increase fares by some 20% this week.
While I may not agree with the 20% and would wish that they could have done some 10% to be fair to the public, to suggest that fuel went to 23 and the transport fares went up and now it is less than 23, so they should be able to contain it. I do think will be most unfair to the transport operators.
Government urged to be transparent as it launches a performance tracker to monitor progress of infrastructure projects.
To me, government must demonstrate that they must manifest that credibility by ensuring that whatever data they put in there are credible, factual.
All these and more in the next 30 minutes with me, Emma Davis. Welcome. Let's start with the COCOBOD, as the Ghana COCOBOD has clashed with mining firm MIGOP Mining Limited over alleged attempts to destroy over 4,300 hectares of cocoa farms in search of gold in 5 communities in the Etrima, Nwabiedra South districts of the Ashanti region. Presently, the mining company is prospecting for gold on 120 hectares of cocoa farm, majority of which is under rehabilitation by COCOBOD. Nanaya Ojima visited the area and has come through with this report.
Prospecting for gold is already underway in communities like Brahabebome, Impoyem, and Ouagadougou in the Nkarie Cocoa District. Apoyem and Bronsako are among areas targeted for mining activities. According to some farmers, the mining company has already taken measurements of their farms, proposing some compensation.
After measuring the farm, they pegged the price at 10,000 cedis per acre. They told us the land has been given to them by government, so if we do not take the money, they will forcefully mine the area.
Presently, MIGOP Mining Limited has commenced works on 169 hectares of land, destroying some economic trees. Public Relations Officer of MIGOP Mining, Richard Jesse, explains the extent of destruction caused so far.
So now we are in the exploration stage. We are now coming to development stage before you start the mining. So we are not destroying the crops as it has been portrayed. No, nothing at all. But sometimes when you pass this road to come to this area, definitely, 1 or 2 crops may be affected. Then we pay for it. Government approved price. You understand?
Cocoa production in the country has been on decline since 2021, dropping from 1 million metric tons to 480,000 metric tons in 2024. In April 2022, the Ghana COCOBOD revealed over 19,000 hectares of cocoa farms had been destroyed as a result of illegal gold mining activities, a figure likely to increase by close of this year. Statistics from the COCOBOD have reviewed the 4,300 hectares of cocoa farm targeted for mining produces cocoa beans worth 316 million cedis annually. Head of Anti-Illegal Mining Unit of COCOBOD, Professor Michael Kwatin, reveals the company failed to seek appropriate authorization from the COCOBOD before embarking on the activity.
When you go to the regulation of Mineral Commission, the Mineral Mining Acts 703, if you read the section 18, subsection 1 and 2, it tells you that mining companies are supposed to contact, bodies that regulate, that farm, whether cocoa or whatever. So they are evaluating, that aspect of their law, their own law, and mining companies are taking advantage of the system, destroying our cocoa everywhere. Yes, but what is happening? From here, we are going to take action and ensure that, they are brought to the law. I mean, COCOBOD now, we are now using the Economic Plant Protection Act. That is what we are using to protect the cocoa.
In protecting cocoa farms from the threats of illegal mining, the COCOBOD is strengthening partnership with the Minerals Commission. Professor Kwatin again.
We are planning to ensure that whenever there's any concession to be given, COCOBOD will be involved, so that when it comes to the inspection, our officers will be part of the inspectorate division to ensure that really whatever concession will be given, there wouldn't be any cocoa farm or tree affected.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Nkari.
Now, the Tree Crops Development Authority has received $100 million from the World Bank. Addressing the media at the launch of the 6th International Council of Ministers Conference of Cashew, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Yao Ting, disclosed that about 60% of the loan will be used to fund the cashew industry to boost production. Revenue generated from the export of cashew in 2023 was $400 million, according to Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Tree Crops Development Authority, Yao Ting. Ghana exports 300,000 metric tons of cashew, yet the country processes only 30,000 metric tons. But the authority has received funding from the World Bank to expand the subsector.
Most of the Ghana cashew exports go to Vietnam and India. And recently, I was in Germany, I saw a cashew residual product. I actually thought it was chocolate, but then it was made from cashew. And the European Union is buying deeply into cashew. And that is, I'm sure that is why the World Bank is giving us almost USD 100 million, out of which 60% is going to be used for cashew development. What the World Bank has done, and one of the components is to give matching grants to processors. We need to upscale the production of cashew.
Speaking at a press launch of the 6th International Council of Ministers Conference of Cashew, Mr. Oting says his outfit has instituted initiatives to mitigate the impact of climate change on tree crops, as well as tap into the carbon market.
Measurement of carbon per acre, carbon sequestration per acre of any quantum of trees, depending on the tree height and all of that. So this model is being perfected, which we will share with the European community and all green organizations focused on carbon sequestration for repatriation of, for proper effective measurement of carbon sequestration and then conversion of same to foreign exchange for the government of Ghana.
The 6th International Council of Ministers Conference of Cashew, alongside the Cashew Research Dialogue, Cashew Fair and Exhibition, will be held from 16th to 20th April 2024. Yao Ting tells the impact it would have on the economy.
By hosting these events, Ghana stands to gain significantly. We have the opportunity to showcase our progress and potential in the cashew sector, attract more foreign direct investments, further develop the industry, increase the processing capacity, and of course, much needed foreign exchange to stabilize our city. Moreover, the awareness and the visibility created during these events will lead to increased production, like I said, development, increased processing, increased exports, consumption of raw cashew products, which will benefit both producers, consumers, and all actors within the cashew value chain.
The conference is themed Projecting the Cashew Sector Through Local Consumption, Value Addition, and Job Creation. Away from our Greek-related stories, unionized transport operators have failed to secure government's approval to increase fares by some 20% this week. There is more in the following report on details of this crunch meeting with the Minister of Transport.
This meeting argued that more data is needed to justify the margin of increase in transport fares that the various unions were pushing. This is because government maintained that current development and the various model does not warrant the margin of increase being proposed. They therefore reached an agreement for a new date should be set to try and finalize negotiation on increase in transport fares. There is currently gentleman's agreement that any time price of petroleum products go up by more than 10% in a quarter, that should trigger negotiations between government and the transport operators for an increase. Joy Business is also learning that another reason why no deal was reached is that some of the unions at the meeting did not have the national chairman around. Therefore, government was worried that any agreement reached may end not bidding on all of them. The Transport Ministry has now set April 17, 2024, that is next Wednesday, as a new date for talks to resume on possible increased transport fares. But for some, with the inflation rate that has started going up, with the March rate hitting 25.8%, some are worried about the impact of fares going up on the economy and the cost of living going forward.
Meanwhile, Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, Duncan Amoah, has indicated that the rejection of the proposed 20% increment of transport fares by government is unfair to the transport unions. According to him, the rate of inflation has impacted operations, hence necessitating an increase in transport fares by at least 10%.
I'm afraid I can't take the position he takes. Darrell, I recall vividly how in 2023, personally had to intervene with the GPRCU national chairman and the other transport operators, the concerned drivers, the committed drivers, to reduce transport fares in this country, which they did. At the time, they didn't want to. They said they should keep their fares where it was. So that when fuel goes back again, they can get break even for whatever it's worth. We forced them to reduce fares when fuel prices came down. Unfortunately, what he is not considering is the rate of inflation plaguing the transport business. Again, Darrell, whilst I may not agree with the 20% and would wish that they could have done some 10% to be fair to the public, to suggest that fuel went to 23 and transport fares went up and now it is less than 23, so they should be able to contain it. I do think will be most unfair to the transport operators, being mindful of the rate of inflation we currently have and the fact that what the driver was paying for fuel just 6 weeks ago, he or she is currently paying more than 12% within just 6 weeks. So that suggestion, I'm afraid, I can't go with it. It's not surprising that some of them will go ahead to increase prices of transport fares in the country. It is not surprising because, Darrell, what we have recently done, I have done a very simple calculation which I can share with you. A public transport operator who does say 10 gallons in the entire day is doing 45 liters, right? If on each liter they are going to have to pay 1 Ghana cedi extra due to the over 15-17% increment, what it means is that every single day they leave the house, they would need additional 45 Ghana 50 cedis to augment their cost of fuel alone.
You're still watching Business Live with me, Emma Davis. We'll take a breather. We'll be back with more. Welcome. Thanks for staying to one of our headline stories. Executive Director of the Policy Initiative for Economic Development, Dr. Daniel Amate-Enim, is urging government to ensure that data available on the performance tracker is credible. The government recently launched a performance tracker, which is expected to provide information on the impact of government's infrastructure projects and performance. However, speaking on the marketplace earlier today, Dr. Amate-Enim said Ghanaians are more concerned about income levels and governments will need to be truthful to maintain confidence of the populace.
Let me be frank with you. With the kind of work that we have done and the information we picked, citizens are more concerned about what is happening in their lives. For example, income level, their ability to demand to purchase goods and services. They are concerned about the cost of power, reliability of power, water, all the utilities. Things that they interact on a daily basis. That is the most critical thing that the citizens are considering. And it is against that background that government must ensure that we get our fundamentals very right. We ensure that the basic things of life, utilities, water, electricity, etc., shouldn't be a challenge. Okay, to me, if the data I've gathered, infrastructure is a secondary perspective for most citizens in terms of measuring the performance of government, particularly going into year's election. To me, government must demonstrate that they must manifest that credibility by ensuring that whatever data they put in there is credible, factual. People can really go out there, ascertain, and say, well, indeed, we have seen X, Y, Z. We visited a place. And I think the media have also a major role to play in this particular exercise by picking up some of the big things that they will apply, visiting the place, and then ascertain, report safe. And that is the way we can put government on its toes by ensuring that they strictly adhere to the principle of credibility and the principle of speaking the truth, so to speak.
Now, the Development Bank Ghana, as part of Eid al-Fitr celebrations, has donated some food items to the Nsawam prisons and the Senior Correctional Center. According to the acting head of corporate social responsibility at the bank, Barbara Ricketts, the gesture is aimed at supporting the two institutions and help to reform inmates.
The donation by Development Bank Ghana to the Nsawam medium security prisons and the Senior Correctional Center forms part of the company's corporate social responsibility, which is aimed at impacting the society. The items donated include food and toiletries. In an interview, acting head of corporate social responsibility at the Development Bank Ghana, Barbara Anawonu Ricketts, pledged the bank's support towards reforming people in the prisons and correctional centers.
As we all know, Ramadan is it's a significant festivity that is being observed by the Muslims, and in this month they usually fast, pray and almsgiving. So we thought it wise as part of the Ramadan charity to extend a hand to the prisons, and we considered the Nsawam prisons and we looked at the Senior Correctional Center, which usually admits the young ones 18 years and below. We thought it wise to support them with food supplies as part of the Ramadan charity initiative to help them in the celebration and to remind them that they are not alone. It's just a phase of life where they have to go through the reformation and transformation. And when they come back into the society, we are always we have an open arms to embrace them and welcome them back into the society.
Assistant Director of Prisons at the Nsawam Medium Security Prison, Mohammed Mukhtar, expressed his appreciation to the bank and called on other institutions to emulate the gesture.
Development Bank, you've really shown that you are in to develop the society and the country at large. Tomorrow, they are celebrating the Eid al-Fitr. And you thought it wise to donate these items to support them, put some smile on their faces, and not any other person but the downtrodden, those we think they are criminals, and we are donating these items to them. In fact, it's a nice thing that you have done, and everybody's supposed to emulate what you have done. We shouldn't think that those who are in prison, they are all criminals. Prison is like a hospital. You can wake up in the morning, going to work, and you complain of headache. Before you find yourself, you'll be at the hospital. A little brush with the law can bring you to prison. Some of them here who have committed it, they have regretted, and they have changed. So we have to help them so that we can reform them to come and contribute their quota to the society.
Pensawon Prison, which was founded in 1960, is home to over 3,000 inmates who are undergoing reforms and also accessing formal education.
Moving on, Chief Executive of the Ghana Enterprises Agency, Kosi Yankee Aye, believes its partnership with Ghana Post will help enhance the competitiveness of Ghanaian businesses. The Ghana Enterprises Agency and Ghana Post have entered into a mutual agreement to support micro, small and medium enterprises with market access for their goods and services. The collaboration forms part of the Ghana Enterprise Agency's initiative to support these small businesses to enter major markets globally.
Through the strategic partnership, we can harness our synergies to create new opportunities to expand access to markets and enhance the competitiveness of Ghanaian businesses. And why is access to markets very important for us in this new project? It's really so important because we realize that over the years, people produce things and really finding markets is quite difficult. We've also realized the importance of the e-commerce platform and tools. So you have people who are on various e-commerce portals, and how to get their products from one point to another is really a question that is coming up. And we believe that once we build the strong partnership together, we can work on both fronts. And with the new things, which is e-commerce delivery service, and the second is also really looking at utilizing your facility to create the access to markets for the beneficiaries of our program. So thank you very much for coming.
That'll be all for today's edition. I am Emma Davis. But for more news, do visit our website, myjoyonline.com, and we updated our headline stories. There are: inflation to resume downward trajectory in April 2024. That's according to a report. Also, March 2024 inflation increases sharply to 25.8%. Do visit the portal and be updated. Again, I am Emma Davis. Thanks for watching.